Alright, I'm going to try to make a video here. uh, the last two games here in the arcade that I haven't made videos for are GORF and Dragon's Lair 2. I think I'm going to make a GORF video right now. It is probably my second favorite game in here. Only second to Dragon's Lair. But it is a pretty special game. It was made by Midway in, I think, 1980. And it is a very difficult game to keep running, according to all the arcade people. The game board in here is real finicky. The power supply was notoriously bad for dying. It's got a lot of lights. There's lights up in here. There's lights down in the control panel part. And it tended to overheat a lot. And it got warm. And it just stuff burned out in it. The game board burned out. The power supply burned out. And it was just a really difficult game to keep running. But one of the reasons I love this game is they had this game in the local grocery store in Zanesville when I grew up. And it was they had a bunch of different games in there over the years. They had Jungle Hunt, they had Excite Bike, GORF obviously was one of them because it still sticks in my mind. But one of the things that I always loved about this game is Mom would take us to the grocery store and she'd give us like a quarter, my brother and I, give us a quarter to just, leave her alone while she was grocery shopping. And there was usually one or two arcade games in the grocery store. But one of the things I always loved about this game was if you touch the joystick,
insert delay.
It starts into its attract mode sounds. So I remember being a little kid, like looking at this thing and like, well, it doesn't do it all the time, and that's the other thing, is you have to let it kind of go through its paces. Of course it's not doing it now. But that was what I loved about it as being a kid. There it goes. Because you would touch it sometimes, you touch a joystick sometimes, and it would start talking to you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got a quarter to play this thing, but... And you touch the joystick and it would start making noise. So anyways, this particular machine, one of my arcade friends had it down in Zanesville. And he had it in his arcade for a while. And he was looking for a Pac-Man machine. And I actually had a spare Pac-Man machine, and I traded him for it. And it needed not a lot of work. I mean, it was still in good working order. This thing's going to start talking to me. But it needed, I don't know, it a lot of the, you can see some of the wood was pitted. I did a lot of painting on it. There was a big chunk out of one of the sides I repaired. I put a couple of cooling fans. I put one cooling fan down on the game board. It's blowing right across the game board. And then in the back, around the top of it, I have another cooling fan blowing all the warm air out of it. The bezel around here, the one the original one was, I don't know, it was all flaky and stuff. And I bought this one from, I think, this old game, I think. The dude makes awesome stuff. And the bezel was one of them, because it's a real deal glass bezel. And it is, I mean, looking at the original one versus this one, it is just spectacular. And the other thing I did was I bought a control panel from I think this old game, and it is brushed aluminum. Some of the repos are just like an overlay that goes over top of it, but this one is actually brushed aluminum, and it is. I mean, I had the original one versus this thing, and this thing is. I mean, the dude does. I think his name's Rich from thisoldgame.com. The dude does awesome work. I don't even know how you'd make something like that with a. It's all silk screened on there. Same with that. That's all reverse silk screened. Another cool thing about this game, there's a few cool things about it, is there's lights in the joystick. And there, when you touch a joystick, it starts talking to you. But when you play the game, and I'll throw a quarter in it here, when you shoot, the joystick lights up, which is pretty cool. I had to actually, it didn't work. Player. So the lights are lit up, and when you shoot, it goes out. And one of the things I don't like about this machine is the little overlay thing in there is not original. And the original one, actually, that one you can see the lights. I might try to search out a better anyways, another awesome thing about this game, and you can't really let it shut up. Another thing that's awesome about it is it has this board on the side of it, and there's lights back behind there. So there's 4 different games in GORF, and if you're familiar with GORF, you can Google it through all the 4 different games. But it's basically Space Invaders. Another one is it's got Galaxian. It's got a Galaxian board. So it's Space Invaders, Galaxian, and then there's 2 original boards. I think they call it Mothership and something else. But when you go through all 4 boards, that's the Space Invaders game. You go through all 4 of them, the space rank goes up. So if you go through all 4, the next time through, your space captain, space colonel, space general, space warrior, and space avenger. And I've made it as far as, I want to say either space general or space warrior. One of those 2. But it gets so incredibly difficult after like 2 or 3 cycles through it that it is almost impossible. But yeah, that's GORF. And like I said, GORF and Dragon's Lair are probably my 2 most unique games in here. I've had a lot of games through here over the years, but this is probably my favorite lineup that I have. Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, GORF, Dragon's Lair, Mortal Kombat. I did a video on that one. And but this one, it is, there's just not a lot of them out there. I mean, I think they made a lot of them back in the day, but not a lot of them survived, and definitely not in this kind of condition. The only thing is the side art's a little bit chewed up, but being original condition side art, it's actually pretty good, I think. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, another cool thing about this game, a lot of people might remember the TV show Silver Spoons with Ricky Schroeder back in the 80s. His dad actually had a GORF machine in his house arcade, which I thought was the coolest thing on earth. When I saw that show and the dude had the train running through his house and an arcade in his house, I was like, oh my God, when I get old, that's what I'm gonna have. And well, I kind of do. I mean, I'm old and and here it is. But yeah, that is definitely one of my favorite ones. It is such a piece of 80s artwork, I think. And you gotta love the space theme, I think. And just the joystick is fantastic, and the fact that the control panel lights up like that, it is just a piece of work, I think. I mean, a lot of people say Tron is the prettiest arcade game, but I don't know. GORF is definitely up there in my opinion, and it's got the background. There's lights that go back up in here that illuminate the whole cabinet part. It is a thing of beauty. Oh, another thing with this one is I have the high score save kit in it, which is kind of cool. It didn't come with that. I put that in it, and it's got this one actually has a switching power supply that the guy that I bought it off of put that in it. Trying to think of what else about this machine. That's about it, I think. Anyways, if you have any questions about GORF, I actually have a couple friends on a couple of the arcade sites that work on the boards, which I think is a pretty rare thing. But if you have any questions about GORF, ask them in the comments below. And I probably won't be able to answer them, but I might be able to point you in the right direction. So, anyways, boy, 12-minute video. And my next video will be Dragon's Lair 2. This one is definitely, not probably, it is the coolest game in here. It's a Laserdisc game, and anyways, questions below. Bye.